As we enter into worship at this, the start of the new year and the start of the 4th century of this congregation, may we acknowledge that our church stands, and we stand, therefore, on the traditional and ancestral lands of the Pennacook people. Pennacook, also called Merrimack, means bottom of the hill. We honor that the spirit, the ancestry, and the current day people of this land are the Cowsack Band of the Pennacook Abenaki people. We honor that our intentions matter and that our actions matter even more.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Religious Society Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts. Happy New Year. I'm Ray Wilson, and I have the privilege of serving as your worship associate this morning. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We're glad you're here. If you're new and you'd like to connect, please fill out one of these blue cards that's in the pew and leave it in the collection box during the offertory. We come together at FRS in person and online, committed to love, peace, and justice. Our mission and our invitation to all of you is to come as you are, journey together in love, act with courage, and transform our world. If you are worshiping online and would like to access this morning's order of service, please click on the link just below the live stream. If you would like a large print order of service or a large print hymnal, please ask an usher who will be happy to bring one to you. Please take a moment also to review the order of service for all the activities happening this week. In particular, I highlight a new Journey of Faith 3-session workshop led by Reverend Rebecca and members of the Worship Associates team. Are you interested in exploring your own spiritual journey through writing and reflection? This is a wonderful way to begin the new year by focusing on your private, personal, spiritual journey and deepening your connection with FRS members. There is more information, including dates and how to register, in the order of service. Everyone is invited to join Reverend Rebecca and Joanna Fernandez for a contemplative, meditative service this Tuesday evening here in the sanctuary from 7 to 8 p.m. Reverend Rebecca will also be offering the opening prayer at Mayor Reardon's inauguration tomorrow at 10 a.m. Hope to see you there. One other thing is that the notice in the order of service about the congregational discussion about the parish hall, which was originally scheduled for after today's service, is postponed to Sunday, January 25th. Every Sunday, it is such a blessing that we can gather. So let us give ourselves to it. Welcome once again. It's good to be together.
It is indeed good to be together. The rescheduled, if you will, parish board congregational meeting about Parish Hall, you know, the new year catches up with you, right? We all kind of looked at each other last week and said, oh, that's like soon. So please join us on that date. Come to learn all that has been considered and is continued to be considered in this important initiative. Before I move into our call to worship with the planned words, I'd invite us to move into a call to worship in an embodied, whole way, in union and communion with the world. There are times where things happen in our country these days that both shock, horrify, scare, and sadly confirm. Much of what we feared and or know is coming to pass. Much of what may seem to be new, but in truth has deep, deep roots in colonization vis-a-vis our own country, and not just others around the world. So as we hold in our hearts this morning our own responses, we are now collectively gathered. We hold to the people of Venezuela in our hearts and in our minds. And when we get the most agitated, fearful, angry, and afraid, may we remember them and all that they are experiencing. And may they know somehow that they are remembered. Our call to worship this morning is by Lucille Clifton, entitled, "I Am Running into a New Year." And she wrote, "I am running into a new year, and the old years blow back like a wind that I catch in my hair, like strong fingers that all my old promises. How hard it will be to let go of what I said to myself about myself when I was 16 and 26 and 36, even 36. But I am running into a new year, and I beg what I love and I leave to forgive me." You are faithfully called to worship. Let's rise in body or in spirit and join together in our opening hymn, number 38, "Morning Has Broken." Please be seated.
Please join us in the chalice lighting. The words are printed in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
Each week, we also light 2 candles of peace, representing 2 places on earth that need peace. And as I say, each time that we gather, there are untold numbers of places on earth that need peace. These 2 we will hold into our hearts through this service and through the week ahead. After I say each location, we'll sit together in silence, and then I'll invite us to respond by saying peace in 3 languages together. Peace, salam, shalom. Our first candle this morning is indeed lit for Venezuela and for our country. To this, we respond, peace, salam, shalom. And our second candle this morning is lit for the cold. The cold and those seeking shelter. The cold of this season. Climate change and its impact upon the increasing cold. The cold that many face at this time with mental health and emotional challenges. And to these we respond, peace, salam, shalom. Let's rise in body or in spirit and join together in our affirmation of faith, followed by the doxology. The words can be found in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Please be seated.
I'm going to call Annie Maurer and Lori Evans-Daly back up so we can thank them. I know we didn't warn you. So with this new year, this starts our 301st year, which means this big 300th year of celebration has come to a close with this service. And these 2 wonderful women were the co-chairs of the 300th Planning Committee. So we met at least once a month for the whole year, I think more than a year, to plan it, to make everything happen, And so I want to thank both of you, especially for being good partners in thinking and planning and celebrating and doing all of the things to make this 300th year such a special success. And there were events all year long. We started with some history services that I know Glee, if you want to stand up as I call people's name, Glee was part of history services. There was the garden party in the spring. Remember when we paraded through town with a brass band? That was organized by Sarah Spalding and Rebecca Brodish. There was the book, of course, that so many people worked on. Sue Gately, Lori, Diane Carroll edited. Vern Ellis did all of the sort of editing and layout stuff. We had the 250th parade, and that was again Glee and Paula Renda, wherever you are, Paula. The play in the fall with Bruce Tureau and James Funston, thank you to both of you. We had the Yankee Homecoming book sale and bed race, and to everyone who participated in that. The Thanksgiving address display, and Amy Chalkert made those beautiful banners that we hung on the walls. The minister's portraits display downstairs in the gallery that Bettina Turner put together. The birthday party that Nick Place organized, and then we ended with the 100th candlelight service that so many of you were part of. And so I want to say thank you to all of you that helped organize, that helped plan things, and all of you who participated, because if we planned an event and no one came, right, that wouldn't be very fun. So thank you to all of you in all the ways, whether it was buying a book or a pin, or coming to the garden party, or attending the play. There were so many ways to participate in celebrating 300 years of this congregation. So thank you to you and to all of you for this together. And it's over.
Lori and Annie, who truly have worked on this for at least 2 years, as Reverend Laurel said, looked at each other and said, "It's over."
Good morning. My name is Charlie Himmel, and my journey of faith started here at church truly only a few years ago. From the start, I didn't fully understand what I believed, what faith most fit my understanding, but FRS did help me discover that no one faith needs to be at the center of my belief. That was shown to me from the start. I found myself agreeing with many of Unitarian Universalism's beliefs, but still wanted to find my own understanding. I've never fully understood the concept of a single God. I was given an understanding of the teachings from many different religions, but never found myself able to connect to only one. And so I started to think about my beliefs. And I found that I do believe in some sort of higher power, but I still haven't found what it is. 2 years ago, in freshman history class, a brief chapter covered some of the world's religions. And I found myself trying to identify myself within them. And then there came a brief lesson on agnosticism, and I found myself agreeing more with that one. And so I figured, that's it. I must be agnostic, which is generally a person who believes that the existence of God is unknown or not even knowable. But it did not feel right. I believe there's something higher that exists, and I just don't know what, or don't know if I ever will. And I don't know if I ever will find faith that fits my beliefs fully, but so far, our community that accepts all has fit the best. So, for the past year and a half-ish, I've generally aligned myself with agnosticism. But last year's youth group, we talked about personal values, and it again got me thinking about my beliefs. And so I'm still where I've landed today, believing there's that higher power, but not knowing what it is. There's always been something that pushes me through the challenges of teenage life and my busy schedule, but I don't ever think I'll know exactly what. and I think my search is a powerful message. Our journeys never truly end. We're always learning, always finding our new beliefs, finding a new understanding. So don't stop. Don't stop understanding and watch where that journey may take you. I invite you all to now sing the children to Young Church with hymn number 413, Go Now in Peace.
The generosity of our community is an essential ministry that supports the work of this church, both in Newburyport and beyond. Each week, 50% of the Sunday offering not designated as a pledge goes to a local community partner engaged in important efforts to transform our region. Our community partner this month is Nourishing the North Shore. The mission of Nourishing the North Shore is to ensure equal access to healthy local food to all members of the North Shore communities in a manner that builds community, fosters connection, and promotes dignity and self-reliance. The seeds of NNS were sown from the FRS program Stir the Pot. Let's keep stirring. To give online, please use the link in your order of service or below the live stream. You can also make a contribution by text, and of course, you can always mail a check to the church as well. Thank you. The offering will now be gratefully received.
Thank you, Lark. This is a time in our service where we pause to lift up the joys and the sorrows, the hopes and the dreams of our beloved faith community. I'll be sharing what was sent to me in advance, and there is always our journal in the vestibule each Sunday. You're always invited to write anything down as you enter the church that you would like to be shared this morning. Andy Lobb, our pastoral care associate, will be lighting candles as I share these joys and sorrows. So let us gather.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
This morning we light a candle of blessed memory as Rachel Anderson shares and asks that a candle is lit for her uncle, Gary Anderson, who died yesterday at the age of 92. Rachel writes, "He will be missed by many and remembered for his kindness and his clever jokes." We also light a candle of appreciation and of care from Will Budenhagen, and I'm sure also from his wife Linda, but Will wrote himself and said that he is home and he is so grateful for his continued recovery and for all of the support from his FRSUU church community. Your cards, your notes, your calls, and your visits have meant so much to the whole family. He looks forward to returning here to church in the not too distant future. We light a candle of celebration and joy as Serena Conready writes from across the big pond. She is excited to share joyful personal news with her FRS family that after 15 years together, her partner Bly and Serena have formalized their commitment to each other with a wedding celebration in Catalonia, Costa Brava on January 2nd. She says that since skiing has always been our favorite way to spend time together, they're going to be headed to the Camino afterwards to celebrate their honeymoon on the slopes. And she also writes, "While our ceremony was a small gathering, please know that my new community at FRSUU is so close to my heart. I am so grateful for the warmth that you've shown to me, and I carry your spirit with me as we begin this new chapter together in our lives." And we light this candle for grace and for a blessing that I offer to all of you. A blessing upon all of your commitments, your intentions, your, what are they called? Resolutions. A blessing on all for those who said no more, for all of those who dared to continue to hope and to try again. My deepest, deepest prayer is that somehow those goals, those refusals, those vows to yourself are realized, whether they are realized as you imagined or in ways that originally or initially may look like a big failure or no. May you know in your heart of hearts that the universe and the love that is our life is always there with us. And we light a final candle as we do each Sunday for all of the joys and all of the sorrows that, although unspoken, are held in just as much love and care. Let us join our voices.
Open my heart
I invite us now to join together in a spirit of prayer and really meditation and contemplation using Thich Nhat Hanh's hugging meditation. If you are so moved, you may want to just place anything down that's in your hands, literally or figuratively. Lay it down for just these few minutes, that we may find within ourselves a connection, a reconnection to all that is true, through our breath, through our intentions, through our bodies. Thich Nhat Hanh's hugging meditation. As you gaze out the windows softly, or gaze at the pew in front of you, or even allow your lids to close. The great teacher wrote, the first thing to do is to make yourself available. Make yourself available to hugging. Hugging within, between, and among our breath. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Come back to the present moment. Come back to the present. So you are really here. Now go in your heart, in your mind's eye, to the person that you want to hug. This could be a person who is no longer with you in physical form. It could be someone you have not seen for a long, long time. It could be someone you live with, work with, someone for whom you have great compassion, someone for whom you have anger. It could be yourself. Go to that person and bow to them. Feel yourself bowing to the light within them. Do your best to abandon the things that are possessing you and to make yourself available. And if they too practice mindfulness, they will allow themselves to be present. Smile, no matter the feelings. Smile and bow. Now, hugging is possible. Stand facing this other person or yourself with your palms joined, and breathe in and out 3 times, saying silently to yourself, breathing in, I know that life is precious in this moment. Breathing out, I cherish this moment of life. Breathing in, I know that life is precious in this moment. Breathing out, I cherish this moment of life. Breathing in, I know that life is precious. Breathing out, I cherish this moment. Take this person or yourself into your arms. Hug them. Breathe consciously. Hug them with all your body, spirit, and heart. Say silently something like, breathing in, this one is in my arms. Breathing out, I am happy. Breathing in, we are here. Breathing out, it is so precious. Breathing in, it is wonderful. Breathing out, I am at peace. Breathing in, you offer this person all you wish you could say. And breathing out, you seek union, peace, and oneness. Breathing in and breathing out. You slowly release your hold in your palms and you bow to yourself and another. May it be so.
Intertwined, interwoven, we are one. Faces lifted towards the sun. Many countries, many lands, many hands. Intertwined, interwoven, we are one. Words are spoken, giving thanks, giving praise. For the strife intertwined to our better angels we appeal as the seekers of truth and what's real in the fabric of the common weal. We are one, intertwined, interwoven.
Please join Reverend Laurel, Ray, and myself in the responsive reading. It is printed in your order of service. The 1st of January is another day dawning, the sun rising as the sun always rises, the earth moving in its rhythms.
With or without our calendars, to name a certain day of the day, new beginning, separating the old from the new.
So it is. Everything is the same, bound into its history as we ourselves are bound.
Yet also we stand at a threshold. The new year, something truly new, still unformed, leaving a sunny power in our hands. What shall we do with this great gift of time, this year? Let us begin remembering whatever justice, whatever peace, and wholesome hope in this world this year.
We are the hearts and minds, the hands and feet, the embodiment of all the best visions of our people.
The new year can be ground for the seeds of our dreams. Let us take this step forward together unto new ground.
Planting our dreams well, faithfully, and in joy.
Thank you, everyone. You know, two things I want to say first. One is that as I look out at all of us, and I know that there are many also online, or perhaps I know who will listen at a later time, everything that we do has three things in it. It has an intention, whether we know it or not. There is a reason we do what we do, whether we know it or not. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's unconscious, sometimes we think we know, but we're not really being honest. But there's always a reason behind behavior. The second thing about it is that it has power. What we do, what we say, what we think, how we act, and the intention behind what we're doing, saying, thinking, and acting has a lot of power. And our actions, thoughts, and words create habits. They become habitual. They become, if you study neuroscience, which I know I love and many others I'm sure do too, this is not just a spiritual truth. This is where science and spirituality are coming to completely reinforce each other. What we think, what we do, and what we say gets stronger as we continue to think it, speak it, say it, and do it. So, as one of your two ministers, I say, as I'm looking at you all, come to church every Sunday. It will become a habit. You will find that it becomes what you do. And why do I encourage that? Because I believe we need those habits that bring us together with others and with our best self. I also believe that's why New Year's is so important. It's because otherwise we could become a perpetual, just sort of doing machine, never stopping to reconnect, to reflect, to reconsider. So it is good to see you all, and I truly do invite you and encourage you to become more conscious of your intentions, of the power of why you're doing, thinking, and saying what you're doing, thinking, and saying. And if you think you know all the answers, try again. We can be our own largest deceivers. As a child, I knew instinctively that everything in life had power. Everything. I think I've shared with you in the past that there were times as a very young child, and perhaps some of you can relate and others perhaps not, but trust those of us who say this. I never much believed in this hell afterlife, nor did I give it too much consideration, because I watched people who created it and lived in it during their life every day. And it didn't even necessarily matter. I knew the power of people's thoughts, actions, and words. So I knew that everything in life had power. I believed, and still do very strongly, for example, that there is amazing power in nature, in things that are seen and unseen. Who among us hasn't experienced that power of nature? One of our members tells me regularly how his mother, who was a Catholic, encouraged him to know that God lived in the trees, and that it's only now, as a grown man, that he can realize when he turns to the trees, he's turning to what his mother taught him. Who hasn't experienced the power of nature, the rhythmic peace that comes from listening to the sounds of waves? Do you know that even watching photographs of nature on your computer or as a, what is that called, like a wallpaper or something, they can see in our brains how that calms us, even watching photographs of it? Who hasn't experienced the hope that comes on a bright, sunny day, or the perfect fall air that puts a spring in our steps? It's awesome to contemplate the power of our ecosystem, of our bodies that are so deeply connected. The power of our life. Power that is, by and large, whether we want to admit it or not, largely out of our control. That doesn't mean we do not have responsibility. It doesn't mean that what we think, do, say, and act doesn't impact everything. But truly, do we control everything in our lives? Do we make our heart beat? Do we make the sun rise? I find most people, myself included, tend to go to one extreme or the other. We either believe and think consciously or more often unconsciously that in fact we do make the sun rise, and in fact we do control everything. And if we just eat the right thing, our heart will beat forever. And if we just use the right shampoo, well, it will be curly if it's straight and straight if it's curly. Or we think it makes no difference. What we think, what we say, what we do, the problems of the world, the difficulties in our own lives are so massive that it doesn't matter. What if neither of those extremes are accurate? I tried my best, and still do, though I can no longer really say I'm raising my two children because they have become, whether I wanted it to be true or not, adults. However, being raised in their own UU congregation in Hartford, Connecticut, I tried very hard to raise them to realize the power that our minds, our thoughts, our actions have, and to recognize that there is life force in everything, in all of nature, in trees, in other people. It's all the same life force. I remember the day that my now early 30s-year-old daughter, Ginger, came home from nursery school, so she probably was 3 or 4. She was crying and pretty devastated because a girl in her class told her plants were not alive and they didn't have any feelings. Because you see, when it was nap time, which Ginger didn't do well, still doesn't do well, she would walk around and talk to the plants in the classroom. And one of the girls teased her and said, "Why are you doing that?" And Ginger said, "Well, because I'm sharing my feelings and I'm telling them they're beautiful." And the girl said, "Plants don't have any feelings." It was her first introduction, certainly not the last, to the fact that not everyone thinks, like I'm describing. Too many people are taught to believe that only humans have feelings, only humans have life force, that we are here to consume. But power doesn't stop with nature. As I've been saying, every word, every thought, and every choice we make of how we spend our time contains power. How we respond to a situation or treat other people has power. Often, we may never know the impact of that. Have you ever been deeply affected by the words or actions of another person, and that person never knew it? Think about, for a moment, the people in your life. Maybe you were very young and you wouldn't even know or remember their name. Maybe it was someone just the other day who said or did something that ripped your heart or buoyed your spirit. We may never know the power of our thoughts, our actions, and our words, but let me reassure all of us and remind us that they have power. There's another member of our congregation who shares with me that, and this got me, because I want you to remember yourself, or perhaps a child of yours or a grandchild, or at the age of 14. Who were you at 14? What were your dreams? This person talks about, and they are well past 14, well into their 70s, talks to me about the fact that at the age of 14, they were so sure in their mind and their hearts that they were called to be a veterinarian. They loved animals through and through, until someone in their life made a passing comment that they weren't nearly smart enough to be a veterinarian. So what does that make? Probably 60 years later, that person lives with that, wonders what might have happened if that same person might have at least just simply smiled, if not even said, "Tell me more." That's awesome. Who are we to dash another person, and yet we do it all the time? There are many times that power is beautiful. There are equally, if not sadly, more times, and I have to admit, as I look around, and we all do right now, this is one of those times where power isn't beautiful. How do we reconcile the abuses of power that are rampant in our world today? How do we reconcile that? In my own reckoning, and it's taken me a long time to get here, it's another sermon in and of itself, which I probably will deliver before June. I finally have come to understand, truly for me, this may not be your experience, but in order to reconcile the abuses of power in the world, we have to start with ourselves. Now, that doesn't mean it's chronological or sequential, like we only focus on ourselves and not the world. But if we don't understand the power of our own lives, of our own untransformed pain, of our own legacy burdens, all this stuff is scientifically proven. If we don't do that, we are, in our power, perpetuating pain. They're really the power of becoming a person of imperfection and humility, but also just awareness that we are all in this together, doing the very best that we can, and then to use our power for light, love, encouragement, a smile. I want to go back to the Holocaust. So Eli Wiesel said, and some of you will know this quote. It's a few sentences, but listen. Listen to this great teacher as he reflected upon the Holocaust. He said, ultimately, the only power which people should aspire to is the power they exercise over themselves. The survivors in the Holocaust were going to die. He was reflecting and remembering when there were people who knew they were going to die. They knew it, he writes. And yet their last words were, "I love you." Even in great pain, their last words were of love. These were people who could have saved themselves for a few more days or weeks. Maybe with a small, small percentage, they might have saved their lives, but it was such a small percentage. So what did they do? They ran back in to save other people instead. And then he closes that by saying, if humanity is capable of that, how can I lose hope in humanity? One of the most important ways or tools we have to harness or to direct our power is to start with the first of the things I mentioned, which is simply to become aware of the power of our intentions. Intention, it's making conscience why and where we're putting our minds and our hearts, and of course our actions and our thoughts. It's common knowledge now that by doing that, before beginning an activity, for example, it has profound effects upon what happens. Think of athletes, professional Olympic athletes who use that technique. They've studied and know that by imagining and seeing yourself doing something with your body, there are things firing in your brain and the muscles as though you were doing those things. Public speakers do this all the time. I ask us, how often are we actually aware of our intentions? How often do we, as Thich Nhat Hanh would encourage us to do, pause before answering an email or making a call or even responding to a question? How often do we reflect upon and ask ourselves, what is our intention? Why would we do that? How often do we repeat the same things over and over and never honestly examine what our intentions are? How much pain have we caused unintentionally? How much joy can we spread with just a little bit of intention? What would happen if we committed ourselves to practicing Thich Nhat Hanh's hugging meditation once a day, either in our own meditative practice or literally with another person or a tree or a dog? My own little pup, she's not a pup, but I think she is, 7 years old, had some medical issues, we're waiting on results, and I sat down and I hugged her. And I held her and I breathed. And I let that little black and white skunk dog know what she means to me over and over again. What if it doesn't have to come to the moments we're afraid or realize what we stand to lose? That we can focus our intention. What if we started every day taking a moment before we begin to establish an intention for that day? That's not saying a task. It's not saying an outcome. It's not saying a goal. How do we want to be that day? That's what that's talking about. Big or small, daily or situationally, whenever we can actually remember and focus on our intention, it can change everything. The third element I wanted to touch on, and I'll be fast, more and in its entirety will be up on the website, but it's the power of truth. Everything has power, and intention guides that power. But what about truth? How many of us know when someone isn't telling you the truth? How many of us know when we're not telling ourselves the truth? They call it I keep talking about neuropsychology and in our brains, but they literally call it dividing from yourself. Your truth is X. You feel this way, you want to do this, whatever, and you act this way, you literally create a division. And you weaken your focus, your determination, your health. The truth, your truth. What if we spent as much time honoring our own truth as we did trying to convince other people that theirs is wrong? What if we could be curious about another person's truth? Because you see, often truth is all contextual. What we really need to understand is why. What's your story? Tell me about that. One of the biggest challenges in that process, especially with ourselves and others, is knowing the difference between truth and fear. How do we know if what we think or believe or feel is based on fear or truth? I'll answer that, but I'm skipping a lot here. Hold on. Let me just say it this way. I'm going to leave this up for you to read. Let me explain this about the difference between truth and fear and how, at least for me, I can sense the difference. When something is true, it doesn't mean it's not scary. It doesn't mean it's not going against certain conventions. It doesn't mean it doesn't require bravery. It doesn't mean that it's easy. But it means that when we follow that truth, it's as though it's that click I've talked about before. It's just that everything aligns. I don't mean externally. I mean we find the power to say what needs to be said. We find the strength to go through the difficult times. And we're whole. We may be sad, we may be afraid, but we're whole. When we are following fear, we will feel more fear. We will feel agitation. We will feel irritation. We will be impatient. We will often feel very tired. We will be out of alignment with our inner truth and self. Why does that matter? My friends, look at the world. Far too many people follow fear. In places of power, through centuries of oppression. So may we be people of truth. May we be people who are brave enough to find what it means to know what we believe and to act upon it. Amen. Let's rise in body or in spirit and join together in hymn number 348, Guide My Feet.
Guide my feet while I run this race.
standing and let's join in our unison benediction as Ray extinguishes the chalice. And I do want to thank all of our beloved parishioners who have participated, of course, all of you here. Charlie for his journey of faith, Betsy for your beautiful intertwined music, Lark for your gorgeous music, and Gay, which we will hear in a moment. Let's join together now in our unison benediction as we contemplate the week and the year to come. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us now and always. Everyone is invited to join us next door for coffee hour, and there's a slideshow of our 300th year and good cheer and company. My friends, as we begin this day that life has given us, this day that is full of promise, this day, may we do so with intention of love and goodness. May we do so knowing that we do not run this race in vain. We do it for all that we hold to be true. We do it for ourselves. We do it for the earth. We do it for all others, that no one lives in pain, that all are peaceful, safe, and well. And so may we go. And so may we create in our lives and the lives of those around us. Go in peace, my friends. Return again in great joy. Amen and blessed be.